All right, so today's tip of the week is part of a series. So we are basically taking our real estate investor blueprint, which goes over the 272 different things that we've learned after investing in real estate here in Texas for the last 20 years. Who are my engineers in the room? Who are my left brainers in the room? No engineers, one engineer, one left brainer. Really? None of you guys have these massive spreadsheets that you're proud of that are like your babies, one person? Okay, well, there's only, I'm surprised, normally there's many more than that. So my husband and I are left brainers. So when the left brainers look at this, the left brainers think, oh, she completes me. We are one. We are one and the same. Right? My right brainers look at this and it's like a freaking jelly donut. They look like a jelly donut after. I don't understand a word she's saying right now. Can she please go to the next slide? So this actually goes to the 272 things that we've learned after investing in real estate for the last 20 years. What we found is real estate is a mile wide, not necessarily a mile deep. So what you learn on deal number 1, you may not experience again until deal number 121. And I will tell you that in real estate investing, the saying, truth is stranger than fiction. Never is that saying more true than in real estate investing. I can promise you that. I'm curious, any realtors in the room? Any realtors? Okay, so some of the realtors in the room can tell you that truth is stranger than fiction, especially when it comes to real estate, especially if you've been doing it for a while, and especially if you do it at a volume. So for us, we broke our business down into these 6 different components of understanding the different strategies, which is something that we'll talk about today during our last keynote presentation. Understanding the different marketing that you have to do to be able to find deals, to be able to find opportunities. Understanding the sales and negotiation side of the business, so how to put properties under contract, how to overcome objections, understanding what those objections are as well. Also the funding, the analysis and due diligence, and then this big portion in the upper right-hand corner. I know it's an eye chart for those of you guys who are in person. We have a big one here. It's 2 feet by 3 feet. And the operations side is probably the biggest side, and that's part of our tip of the week. So we're doing I guess it's about a 14-part real estate investing series where we have gone through the marketing, the deals, the strategies, due diligence, negotiating, financing, closing, reselling, leasing, financing operations. And today we're specifically talking about entities and asset protection, So now I'm going to ask, who are my people who already have your entity, your LLC set up? Okay, and keep your hands up, Keep your hands up if you have not yet done a real estate deal. Okay, you guys are my left brainers. So what that means is effectively you're putting for my left brainers, I know them because they typically will put the cart in front of the horse, thinking that they're putting the horse in front of the cart. So what does that mean? That means they typically have the perfect business that doesn't make any money, okay? They've already worked to set up, they've got the perfect LLCs. It's like, we got this. This is so exciting. It's like, well, yeah, you're really far away from your close-up with HDTV, right? So it's like you got to be working on the deal. So if you want the deal part and actually how to get the deals, then you'll want to review on our YouTube channel or on our podcast the tip of the week for the marketing piece, right? So the marketing is the only thing that's going to put deals into your business, whether you have an LLC, whether you have an entity, or you do not. So first, as we go through this part of the presentation, I have to make a disclosure. I'm probably going to make a couple of disclosures. So number 1, I'm not an attorney, CPA, or financial planner. I highly recommend that you get an attorney, CPA, or financial planner on your team. So it's some of the first meetings that I did when I first started investing. Now, I will tell you that I am also a left brainer and that I had also put the cart in front of the horse, meaning I also set up the perfect business that did not make any money because I set up my LLC right away, even before I had that first property. So I will tell you, my right brainers in here, you're putting your properties in your own name and just kind of skating through. I'll give you some advice on what to do in those situations as well. But first off, I just have to let you guys know that I am just speaking from my personal experience and the experience of talking to hundreds and even probably close to, at this point, over 100,000 different people who have walked through the doors of Texas REIAs in Austin, Houston, Dallas, or San Antonio, because I've been part of the Real Estate Investor Association for the last 20 years now. So just want to make sure that that's disclosed. And while I'm disclosing, I'll also let you guys know that I'm a licensed realtor and broker in the great state of Texas, license number 0518223. I'm not your realtor. Okay, just want to be clear on that. Don't sue me. You've been disclosed to, okay? So you guys all know that as well. And then some of you guys, I'm curious, how many of you guys are thinking, I'm going to get my realtor's license as part of my investor journey? Who are you? Okay, good. So I will tell you, and just, I'm going to ask one quick question here. Will the realtors in the room just kindly stand up? Will the realtors in the room kindly stand up? It's okay. It's okay. Sir, how long have you been licensed?
Just over a year.
Just over a year. How long have you been licensed?
Since December.
Since December. Anybody in here been licensed for a while? Okay, you, how long? 23 years, okay. So I'll ask both of you guys. How much did you learn about real estate investing in realtor school? None. You? Ma'am, none. Okay, do you guys see that? How much did you learn in real estate school about okay, how much you, sir? None. Oh, maybe I don't have to get my license after all. I will tell you what I learned in realtor school about real estate investing. That would be none. Okay, the reason, thank you realtors. Now, probably most of you guys who are realtors who also wanted to be investors thought, what? I'm gonna learn a lot about real estate investing in realtor school. And then they were like, oh dang, I'm just learning how to pass a test in realtor school. So one person is giving me this look like, you've just shattered all my dreams, ma'am. I mean, I hope it gets better from this. Here's what I want. I'm just trying to, that is a common, that's a common sand trap for real estate investors, okay? And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring it up, right? It's a common sand trap for real estate investors to think, especially my left brainers who want to know everything before they do anything, right? So that's why I can kind of tell who my left brainers are. But what I will tell you, and some of you now may be asking the question, well, if I don't learn, then why is she a realtor? Why is she a broker? Why did she say a realtor broker? So I got my license right after the .com bust. What was going on in the real estate market right after the .com bust? The market crash, and everything was a short sale. So one of the major strategies I had to use back then was what? Listing short sales, right? And it's every property was underwater. Not every property, but many properties were underwater, especially during that time. So it gave me a 12th strategy to use in my real estate investing, because ideally, as real estate investors, are we investing in properties that are underwater? Gosh, I would hope that would be the one time you guys were participatory and gave me a resounding F no. You want to try it? Are we marketing to people who are underwater? No. Generally, no, never. But do we find people underwater? Yes, all the time. So I'll give you strategies to be able to handle those situations as well. So I don't recommend that you become a realtor. I will tell you that for every listing in this market, and don't quote me exactly on this, but I believe there's around 1.2 realtors for every listing. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? A lot of realtors. What does that tell you about how realtors are doing financially? Not super well. Regardless of their Mercedes, their Rolex, their whatever, just look at their credit card statement. You'll probably get another story. Okay, I'm just saying. Also, I find for you guys all need a realtor as a real estate investor in the same way that you guys need help with your asset protection, help with your entity creation, okay? But you guys don't have to be the realtor. You don't have to be the realtor. What I found is a lot of realtors moonlight as what? In the gig economy as Uber drivers. Literally 1 in 4 of your Uber drivers will also probably have what? A realtor's license. Because how many people get realtor's licenses when the market's going up? That would be almost everyone, right? So you asked a lot of people in the room, when did you get your license? Like a year ago. Oh yeah, when the market was at the fever pitch. Yes, it's like it's like this. Come over to this, and then you realize you're actually on the dark side. But what I will tell you is you don't have to get your realtor's license, but you do have to have an investor-friendly realtor on your side. But lean on someone who already got their license. The people who are licensed will also tell you, what they don't tell you in realtor school before you sign up for realtor school is that after you become a realtor, you have to, it's the D word, disclose. And it feels, especially for new realtors who are also investors, it feels really comfortable or uncomfortable. That'd be super uncomfortable until you get exactly what to say and get confident and competent behind it. But just know as we get started, some of the disclosures that I want to make to you guys. Now, when it comes to entities and asset protections, how many of you guys are thinking, I'm going to buy properties in my own name? None of you. Some of you, okay? If you're truthful, right? How many of you guys are thinking, and this is the part no one's going to answer there and raise the hand at all, but I don't think I have the money yet to put into setting up an LLC. Like, if I'm honest, like, I'd rather get my deal first and then get my LLC. What do you guys think of it? My left brainers are like choking on that idea, right? And I know, I get it, right? And I'll tell you, 20 years ago when I first started investing, I would have choked on that idea as well. Can I give you a way to be able to get around it? Use and/or assigns. Put it in Manuel. Put it in your name. You are the buyer and/or assigns. And what do you say if the seller says, what is this and/or assigns baloney that you put in here? It's kind of making me a little nervous. What are you going to tell them? Through partners? I would just say, I'm about to set up a new LLC to buy your house. I want to wait till after I get out of the option period to set that up, just to make sure that your house is what I think it is, and also to make sure that you are the owner and the only owner. What are they going to say to that? Okay. Right? So now you can set up your LLC when you know you are about to get a deal, So, and that's exactly how you explain it to the seller. Now I'll ask another question. How many of you guys are thinking, I'm just going to go to formmyllc.com. That's not a true URL or business that I know of, but it could be. How many of you guys are thinking, I'm just going to get like some online LLC? How many of you guys have already gotten some online LLC? So you're the one who played Operation as a kid. It's like, I think I got the kidney, let me get in there. I think I'm gonna, you have two of them, right? So I think we'll be okay, even if it gets messed up. So there are a lot of online places that you can go to set up your LLCs. I will tell you a couple of the sand traps that you'll find, and you can go back and correct this. But one of the things that I see is always missing from some of these low-cost sites is they forget to give you the articles of organization. Who wants to see your articles of organization and your operating agreement? The bank? The bank wants to see something else. The bank wants to see your EIN. Who wants to see your articles of organization or your operating agreement? IRS? The title company will need this. Why? Because you say that you are Manuel Mariaca? I don't have my glasses on. Did I get it right? Okay. You say that you are Manuel Mariaca buys houses, but I need to make sure that you are the person who is allowed to sign on behalf of Mariaca home buyers, right? You're like, well, look, it makes sense. Mariaca, and who's this name? This lady I talked to the other day, she could barely even pronounce it. Like, I'm the only one, right? Is the title company going to accept that? No, they're going to ask for these things, and you're going to say, So if you go to a company that is built to create LLCs for real estate investors to be able to buy and sell houses, they'll know that this is a requirement. And even for those of you guys who have already set up an LLC, you may want to check to make sure, that you have this. So even my left brainers may not be as ahead of the curve as they think. And then for your EIN number, who's going to need that? Your Wells Fargo, Chase, Bank of America, or any other lending institution from which to which you're going to deposit money into, from which you're going to wire money into at the title company. So some of those things, forget to do that. Now, one of the little sand traps, and this is not just for real estate investors, but for anyone who's setting up a new LLC, is there are companies who will send you letters saying, hey, for $100, I can do what for you? Get you your EIN number. Well, for like 25 seconds, you can do it for free, right? So also just be aware of that. So again, so I will tell you what I see most new investors do is they'll just get a basic LLC. And they'll typically use the S Corp selection, You do the corporation type selection after you get the LLC, but before you file your taxes. So, and that just allows the IRS to know which forms you should be filing. Some investors will get a little bit more complex right out of the gate. Anybody in here have a series LLC? So series LLCs became very popular probably about 10 to 12 years ago. Basically, it can be Mariaca Home Buyers 1, Mariaca Home Buyers 2, Mariaca Home Buyers 3. And what does that save you on? Getting 3 new LLCs, right? So some people like that, but what are you not going to get with Series 1, Series 2, Series 3? You're not going to get a new EIN number, so if you want a new bank account, that might kind of be a problem for you, so just be aware of that too. Other investors who will get even more complex will find someone out of state who will recommend that they get an LLC set up in which state? Wyoming, Delaware. What's the problem with setting up an LLC in one of those states? I don't know, maybe you don't live there, maybe you don't work there, right? So here's the thing, you're still going to be filing a franchise tax return for who? That'd be the state of Texas. And then what I see with a lot of investors who get, excited, and especially the ones who will, I say kind of put the cart before the horse and set up the LLC, is they'll have the LLC long before they have the deal. So their LLC might be out of, maybe expired. And you may not pay again to get it renewed, because if you don't have your next deal yet, and then now you're paying to multiple states, and now you're kind of managing multiple deadlines. I'm not a big fan of out-of-state LLCs, but for the people who want to get in, really complex and who are really excellent at paperwork, some of you guys will be getting out-of-state LLCs, but just know that you will still have to pay your franchise taxes here in Texas, because if you are living here, you're working here, and your property's here, guess what? You're going to be paying taxes here. So, I always, go ahead.
So you're suggesting LLC for each property?
Okay, so this is an excellent question, and this actually leads up to this slide right here. How you set up your entities depends on how you Vegas. What the hell does that mean? Well, I like to make up stuff when I'm presenting. And I've been using this analogy for years. So people will ask me all the time, how many properties should I put in my LLC? And I turn around and ask them what their risk preference is, what their risk profile is. And the way that I explain it is basically if when you go to Vegas, you play like the penny slots or the quarter slots, you're probably going to set up a new LLC and a new bank account and a new set of QuickBooks for every property that you get. If when you go to Vegas, you put $100 on Red 13, you might have 10 properties in one LLC. You're a risk taker, right? Would I recommend that? I don't. Do some of my properties, I have one LLC per property. In those instances, and who in here is familiar with buying property subject to the existing financing? Okay, a couple of you guys. So when I'm buying subject to the existing financing, as an insurance policy, I will set up a new LLC for every property that I buy because I'm basically taking over a seller's existing mortgage. I have a naming recognition that I use for each one of those properties. It is the last name of the prior owner dash the street name of the property. That way, if a bank were to see that someone other than Manuel Mariaca owns the property, well, if the bank sees Mariaca dash 1234 Main Street LLC, what's the bank going to think? He's doing some Manuel's smart. He's doing some estate planning. Okay. And can you transfer within your own person? According to what act? The Garnes-Saint Germain Act of 1982, I think it was what it is. So then a bank's typically, knock on wood, not going to call your note due if they see that. So on other properties, the ones I'm buying, fixing, and flipping and holding for a short term, I'll typically have up to $1 million in one LLC. After $1 million, now I'm getting a new LLC. After $1 million there, now I'm getting a new LLC. That's my risk profile, okay? But some of you guys are like, I don't go to Vegas. Then yes, you'll be with option one, which is setting up a new bank account, a new LLC, new QuickBooks for every property, right? So who are my people who, when they go to Vegas, they do $100 on Red 13? Just curious. Okay, all right. So, and I'm also curious, does this resonate for you? Are you a risk taker? Yes?
Yeah, a little bit too much.
A little bit too much, okay. All right, so, but every time I use this analogy, it's like, it just really sinks into people in terms of what they're willing to do. Now, $100 on Red 13 is very different than up to $1 million and, one LLC, but people will set those different thresholds. So some people will say, I'll never have more than 2 properties in one LLC, or I'll never have more than 3 properties in one LLC. So for managing this in general, I will say treat everyone fairly, but be prepared for a disaster, okay? I will never forget Christmas, maybe, 10 years ago. Christmas 10 years ago. We had left for the airport, and one of my staff was still in the office, and a sheriff came. And they're like, I need to serve Shinoa Grove. And I wasn't there. So my person who's working for me calls me frantically. A sheriff was just here and they were trying to serve you. And I'm like, well, what was it for? What is it about? And she's like, I don't know. This was my Christmas. What do you think was going through my head over Christmas while I was out of town for the week? What do you think was going through my head? Everything. Every terrible thing that could have gone wrong in my real estate investing over the prior 10 years, like something happened. So it was one of my tenants who was suing me for $5,000 for not refunding like $1,000 of his security deposit. Okay. I didn't find that out until I got back. In the meantime, my head was going crazy of all the different things that it could have been. So in this particular case, I treated them fairly. I did a fair accounting. In this particular case, and I'm curious, do we have anyone from Boston in here, from the state of Massachusetts? Anybody? So I can offend them? It's okay? Okay. In Massachusetts, the laws are a little different when it comes to landlord-tenant. Okay, so this person was a little bit taken advantage, or thought that same application of how he treated landlords in Massachusetts would apply in Texas. So my second question, just to know who I'm going to offend in advance. Any attorneys in the room? Any attorneys in the room? Okay, good. Attorneys are not a protected class, so I just want to let you know I could offend you no matter, equally, and I'm not, I might get canceled a little if I was in an attorney convention, but I'm not. So so the second issue with this person was he was an attorney. So to him, suing me was what? He was an attorney from Boston, okay? And he was just moved to Texas. So an attorney suing me is what? This will be fun. It's like, this is like what I do on Saturday afternoons for fun, right? So anyway, I'll tell you this, I'll make it as quick as I can. I did not return all of his deposit because his dog ate through the carpet and the floor of my rental property. And what he had said in his, petition to the judge suing me for $5,000 was that the property was like that when he moved in. And I had just renovated the property. And I had all of these pictures in the MLS of this newly renovated property, right? So I thought, okay, I've got that. And I got my contractor to give me an affidavit. And then I said, I'm going to do a little social media stalking because that's what people do these days, and it works. So I looked him up, and I looked up his two other roommates. One of his roommates had a Facebook photo album, and the photo album was called My New House. And guess whose house it was? That'd be mine. And guess what condition it was in? Perfect. So my response to the judge in this particular case were all of the pictures of how they left the property, all of the pictures that I had on the MLS from after I had renovated the property, an affidavit from my contractor, and then the Facebook photo album of my tenant's new house. Okay. He immediately dropped the case against me. Okay. And normally I'm like, it's five, it's like, am I going to spend, and I spend a lot of time on this, am I going to spend more time fighting this than and am I going to lose a deal from it? Could my time be spent better? And I was just like, normally I don't get just like angry, but I was kind of angry. Okay, I'll just say that. So treat everyone fairly, but be prepared for a disaster, i.e., an attorney from Boston who happens to be your tenant. So just be aware of that. Make sure that things that cause injury in your houses, whether they're your rental properties or your fix and flips, make sure that those are remedied and everything is a safe place for the people who are living there. Document and disclose. That means take those pictures of the house before, take those pictures of the house after. Do your disclosures, so your seller's disclosure, and understand the difference between probability and possibilities. This is something that my attorney taught me. So I've said to him in many cases, well, the probability of someone suing me is really what? Low. He says, that's true. Probability is really low, and so far you've had a really good track record, right? But there is still the possibility, right? And then how do you Vegas? And how do you want to Vegas on this one? So hire the best to help you with your planning. For us, we love Anderson Advisors and the Optimal Financial Group. They have been helping us, each one of those companies have been helping us for years, whether it's entity formation, CPA work, tax returns, etc. They get what we do as real estate investors, and they know how to help us, and they know and understand the members of the Real Estate Investor Association. So that is our tip for this week. If you'd like to binge watch all of our tips, you're welcome to. We have a Texas REIAs YouTube page, Texas REIAs podcast. We're in all of the different socials, so love for you guys to learn from people who live here, work here, invest, eat, drink, sleep, real estate investing. So join us on our podcast or on our Texas REIAs YouTube channel for that.